Welcome to the JRv Hendrick Texan Gentleman, the podcast that deals with the early years of JRv Hendrick. And now, reading the story JR and Jimmy. Let's see where we left off here. Here we go. August 21st, 1994. 1:10 a.m. Elizabeth wakes up with abdominal pain, and so she goes downstairs. She decides to play White Lightning by George Jones while drinking her tonic. 3 a.m. At Mary Jane, Betsy wakes up worried about JR. Oh, Betsy, don't worry about it. Don't worry, dear. JR will call you as soon as he gets settled. Well, hope you're right. He really got real sick last year. Now look. His emergency contacts are as follows: Carl and Donna, and Mike in Lubbock, and your mama back home. And I guess if they hear something, they'll call. 7 a.m. At the ranch, JR and Ken are having homemade cinnamon rolls for breakfast. 10 a.m. Ken hops into his truck to go back to his condo. These are the words of JR. So I motioned to Darren to get out the Hummer, load up my things, and take me back to Texas Tech in Lubbock. Grandma Elizabeth embraces me, and I climbed in. Climbed right on the back of the Hummer. Darren loaded my things, and we sped off, heading north to Lubbock and my beloved Texas Tech. 12 p.m. Uncle Carl and his family, along with Adam Plummer, meet me at my dorm room at 104 Gordon Hall. Who should join me but one sweet mate, Charlie Nation. It's my senior year, therefore I reserve the right to party, Charlie Nation said. Watch this one, Carl says. Alright, come on, and Donna said. We have a table for 5 at the Olive Garden. 1:15 p.m. Uncle Carl and his family dropped me off at my dorm at Gordon Hall, saying that they will be back with my decorations for this year around 3. I set up my radio to KJK FM to listen to this week's Christian Countdown. Man, I swear, you are so lame, Charlie said. What you're listening to? Christian music? Because you miss church? Charlie? You've shown to me how really dumb you really are. JR taped. Fine. What you listening to? Christian music. And possibly calling Mama. While you're listening to your Christian music and calling your Mama, that means being in a room staring at Kathleen Allen and Cindy Crawford. Now, Charlie Nation was totally blind since 15 years old. 5 p.m. No, 3 p.m. Uncle Carl and Aunt Donna arrived back at the room to give us decorations from my side of the room and the bathroom. And probably with Texas Tech curtain, shower curtains, and bath mat. Uncle Carl also got me $180. That I can use this on stuff until my Tech Express card came through. I was supposed to go to the ID office by tomorrow after visiting Disability Services. Carl had also gotten me some goodies, some Gatorade, graham crackers, along with some barbecue chicken for dinner. I was happy for the $180 he got from me. I enjoyed the next few days before the dining hall opened on Thursday morning, 17 p.m. at Mary Jane. The family party sits down for a meal of barbecue chicken, mustard mashed potatoes, and a salad and coleslaw. And Ryan's baked beans, a recipe that Jim had learned from his father in 1950, before he went off to the Korean War. At the same time, back to Lubbock, I went across from Gordon Hall to the picnic sections of Smead Hall. Things cooled down quite a bit, and so I sit down there and listen to a tape of the Sound of Music. I wasn't playing it with the same mindset that I had with Holly Hawthorne, with new open eyes to the great big world of the university. I once again stepped into. Okay. August 22nd, 1994, 11 a.m. Now I'm sitting in the living room of my suite in Gordon Hall when Kevin McDonald walks in with a couple of suitcases and put them down to look back at me. And I'm glad to see you. I just can't believe we got to find a suite with Charlie Nation. I mean, Dave Smith is like an angel. But Charlie Nation? Oh, my lantern. Hey, be careful, Charlie said. I can be easy to work with. Just ask JR. 11:20 a.m. At Mary Jane, Kyle's truck pulls up with Kyle, Madison, George, and Andrew. Bessie rushes out to hug her family that has just come in. I'll get the servants to unload your stuff, Jim said. No, Dad. We get it ourselves, Kyle said. 11:40 a.m. At Mary Jane, the Hendrick party is having a lunch, chicken and rice. This afternoon, the men will be going to the USS Kidd Memorial Museum. The women will be taking little Thomas to the zoo. But at the same time, Christine and Forever decided to play a little checkers. And me, Kathleen, decided to study. 1:05 p.m. At Mary Jane, Jim sends all the kids on a scavenger hunt. At the same time, he, Frank, and Blake Carter are making steaks on the grill. Of course, Jim promises to look after Blake's steak when he starts the show. 1:45 p.m. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, Elizabeth, having watched her shows and drank some lemonade, took a little nap in the den. Thomas had taken some bulls for tomorrow's rodeo at the West Ranch in Kermit, Texas. He was slated to be back by 2 and get Elizabeth some candy before they relaxed for the rest of the day. 2 p.m. Kevin Mate took me to the Texas Tech bookstore, where I got the books that I found were not available through Recordings for the Blind. For my economics course, my textbook was Macroeconomics Philosophies and Theories. Public Affairs, Concepts in Modern Times, and Medium is a Message by Marshall McLuhan. The one textbook they did have, the Recording for the Blind, was my Old Testament literature course. Literary texts of the Old Testament, along with Daddy's money. for the textbooks. I was able to use $5,000 in my own money, not for the trust fund, but for selling gold during my internship to buy supplies, pencils and pens, floppy disks, cassette tapes. And for important papers, a huge file folder with a set of folders that I called my red file. 3:10 p.m. At Mary Jane, Jim is holding his first grandchild, Andrew, sitting on the front porch, singing Big Balls in Countdown by George Strait, and then a little ditty. He learned to sing Little Christine as she was recovering from surgery. Guacamole, Espanol, Esquimaux. 3:40 p.m. So here I am in the living room, sitting at my desk with my CCTV. It's a portable CCTV that is studying from my public affairs book. When Charlie comes out of his room, "You're studying?" Charlie said. "Man, it's a week away. You're so stuffy. A villain like your daddy." "Shut it, JR's turned over a new leaf," Kevin McDonald said. "You know, you are starting to irritate me." I'm going back to Raiders Express to chase some skirt and find out what's going on. 6:05 p.m. I'm in the living room watching the news when Kevin walks in. "I'm taking you to Blimpie Subs to get a hamburger or hopefully something healthy," Kevin said. Jeez, man. Jeez, man. "You guys are lame," Charlie said. "Man, I'm going to the Sneeze Snack Bar. Go chase some skirt." "Come on, Kevin. Let's get out of here," JR said. "And I'm not going to that honorary swimming party tonight." "Have you lost your mind?" Kevin said. "Of course you're going. Coach Kyle is depending on you. Now let's get your swimsuit. Let's go grab some dinner, and then I'll grab dinner with you, and I'll drop you off at the party." 6 p.m. It's starting to sprinkle in Baton Rouge. And at Mary Jane, Jim is scolding George for eating an extra chocolate bar without his mother's permission. Dinner that night would be brisket, potato salad, coleslaw, and Winkle cake. Winkle cake was like a Gertrude Armstrong cake with chocolate, coffee, nuts, along with the whole recipe that makes a cake. The coffee was Palmer Coffee from Farmington, Montana. 7 p.m. Now, everyone is splashing around safely. Everyone's there. New memories to swim team, members of the swim team to honoraries. Even Brent Clark was there. Coach Kyle said he'd like to see everyone at swimming practice at 5 a.m. tomorrow. 1:05 a.m. In the living room at Mary Jane, Jim can't sleep because he had to mediate an argument between Blake and Katie Carter. Betsy was about to lose her temper until Jim made them chill and talk things through his way. 1:35 a.m. Elizabeth wakes up with a weak stomach and nausea, so she takes her tonic and begins watching a 1957 Western that she enjoyed with her husband. The Tall Texan was a 1941 remake with different actors. A nice young set of actresses, except for one or two who made the first cut in 1941. 3 a.m. At Mary Jane, Jim goes into the kitchen and asks Wade, the night servant, to make him a pot of black coffee and some peanut butter dark chocolate brownies. 5 a.m. Swimming practice for JR is at full swing at the Sibley, as the different team members exercise their particular stroke. 7 a.m. Charlie, Kevin, and I went over to TNC at Weymouth Hall. Charlie and I got some powdered donuts. Powdered donuts? Kevin said. Are you guys kidding me? Man, you are such a killjoy, Charlie said. You ever try to live? Can you guys just be mellow? JR said. Just be mellow. The dining hall opens on Thursday. That means we get 2 more days picking our meals. Meanwhile, same time in Baton Rouge, Jim is swimming in the lake, regardless of the potential of thunderstorms. Sometime today, he thinks about his late crazy father-in-law, who used to do the same thing back in the 60s. 6:40 a.m. Meanwhile, at Mary Jane, the family sits down to a breakfast of waffles. There was to be nothing but rain today. And so, Betsy had to find a way to keep the younger kids occupied. Namely, little Thomas and Bobby. Amy Kathleen suggested perhaps she could take them to the aquarium in Baton Rouge. Christine and Forever also agreed to go, along with Kyle, Madison, George, and Andrew. That left the adults knowing what to do. Jim wanted to tour the old governor's mansion in Baton Rouge with Blake Carter in the morning. Betsy and Ellen decided to go antiquing. Frank, Dexter, and Viviana decide to play a series of games of Yahtzee. 9 a.m. Well, I'm sitting in my room with Kevin McDonald, and I am studying from my Old Testament workbook. The dean of the Department of Religion and Spirituality had stated, had invited and advised the English department to use and include the workbook in preparations for exams. No doubt Charlie was asleep in his room for being up all night. No doubt he would be up at 11 a.m. hitting the TV room at Bledsoe Hall. 9:25 a.m. At the ranch, Elizabeth is watching her celebrity gossip show. Thomas had left earlier that morning to take some cows to an 11 a.m. auction in Fort Worth, and he would be back by 5 or 7. So Elizabeth is relaxing into her day. 11 a.m. Now here I am in the English and Philosophy building at Texas Tech, talking to Lee Simon, my Old Testament literature professor. She talks about necessity of being part of a spiritual club on campus. I mentioned to her my affiliation with the Spirit Club. She noted that it was involved with the Community of Christ and the Assembly of Christ, a new formed denomination similar to Latter-day Saint philosophy. In 2003, the Spirit Club was fully aligned with the Assembly of Christ. 11:25 a.m. When Darren pulled up in his truck, I told him to wait a little bit, as I called Jennifer Bowers. Hey, Jennifer, it's JR. Hang on board. How about we get together and catch up over things over the summer? Do tell me how your summer was in D.C. I would love to see you, Jennifer said. Darren pulls up the truck up to the student union in the University Center where Jennifer is. Well, hello, Jennifer said, getting into the car. You look so happy. You know, honey, I've been doing some thinking, about the summer. I'm just wondering if you're going into local communication. But the dean told me, I was just thinking about just going into political communication. But the dean told me that the best career spot for me would be political communications and advocacy. Under the Public Affairs Department. Well, it's good hanging out with you again. Looks like you've had a great summer. Maybe we can make up for a lot of lost time. That's what I was hoping for. Let's spend the afternoon and evening at Skyview. Have a steak or two and just talk and have a good time. The Hummers fell off towards Skyview Restaurant. 1 p.m. Betsy asked Jim to come to the Cracker Barrel lunch, and he agrees. But he is irked with Christine, who refused to come to lunch with him. The rain and bad weather was already affecting his mood, and he was starting to miss the power games in D.C. Surprise of all surprises. Who should greet him at the Cracker Barrel but Walton Faye Lipscomb? Faye was in mourning because she found out yesterday that her son was killed in an accident in BYU, and they had come to Baton Rouge to pick up the body. Let's get this stupid phone to cooperate. "1:10 p.m. Back at Swingfield, Elizabeth is asleep in the den. She had been feeling weak off and on all day. And of course she heard that Thomas might not be back until 7 tonight. And so she decides to take a rest until she wakes up herself or Thomas wakes her up. 3:05 p.m. Meanwhile, we're in Lubbock at the Skyview restaurant. JR and Jennifer are making up for lost time. "Now, JR, I missed you so much." "Now, you listen, Jennifer Bowers. I miss you so much, too. Daddy said this internship would change my life. I'm more inclined to agree." "What does your daddy think of me?" "Daddy's got this little idea that he wants me to marry this so-called classy ex-girlfriend I saw again in D.C. I'm like, the hell with that." 3:40 p.m. At an indoor shooting range, Jen and Claude go target practicing. Jen is venting all his frustration, shooting clay pigeons full of holes. "My daddy, he gave me this Ruger 38 service rifle nearly 25 years ago," Claude said. "Damn daughter gets on my nerves," Jim said. "She's gonna get all hoity-toity when she starts in that big Christian school. If you don't want that, why did you go to the White House and accept that appointment?" Claude said. "It's a damn status upgrade for me and Betsy." "It'll fix your kids, you know that." 5:15 p.m. Well, we're sitting in the Hummer and Jennifer and I talk. "Call me sometime. We'll get together for dinner," Jennifer said. We think we can have everything arranged. And some study dates. We're in 3 of the same classes together. I'll call you. I'll see to that. 7 p.m. I'm sitting in the living room when Charlie Nation comes charging in, cursing. "JR!" Charlie Nation says, "Kevin and I have been looking all over for you. Where were you?" "I had a date with Jennifer Bowers." "You know I have a laugh, Charlie." "Now where's Kevin?" "Up in the library." "Well, you dweebs always end up." Damn, I haven't heard that word since prep school, when I started dating Olivia Reynolds. You know, when I went away to Austin to Robbie, sometimes she'd send me letters saying, "Man, JR, you are such a dweeb because you won't come back home more often." That really affected me. Hope you enjoy listening to the JRv Hendrick Texan Night. If you like what you hear, please subscribe, become a part of the adventure. This is the James Hendrick Empowerment Network saying until next time, get ready for the rest of the story. Interesting twists and turns.